your Tuesday night fix of Loose Links. Today we share a counsellor in a town on a professional video call while driving. Do we feel that this is disrespectful and it's one rule for one and another for another? Also, we finish our topic of love, but we talk about abuse following Thursday's thoughts of the brave story of what Sam shared with us on Thursday. Also, I don't know if you're aware, but we're in a big crisis at the moment. And I'm not talking COVID. I'm talking this. So we've got many views on this. So all that and a lot more on today's show. But joining me on the panel this week is John Parry, Sandra Overton, and Sam Bingham. Good evening, panel. All that and a lot more on this week's Loose Links. Good evening, panel. How are we doing?
Hi, everyone. Really good.
Very much.
Fine, thank you. Yep.
I don't know about you, but for the last 2 days I've had my hands wrapped around one of these. I just can't seem to get warm.
Have you put the heating on yet?
So cold.
Yes. I have.
Can I just say a big thank you if you did tune into Sunday's Hot Topic debate show. It was our hottest debate yet going. Thank you for taking your time on Sunday to watch that, and your views and what you think are very much appreciated. So, as always, we start on last week's polls. So, the first poll is, have you ever met a star or a star in your eyes and been starstruck? 62% said yes, 38% said no.
I've got some comments on that. Vicky Pearson had met Ruth Taylor, pop groups, All Saints.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
I've got Sam.
Bad name.
Yeah, good name. Met the pop group 911.
Oh, very.
And Rochelle Hoy met that top TV presenter of The Chase, Mr. Bradley Walsh.
Oh, I'd like to meet him myself.
It'd be a right good evening if I met him. Bradley. So they're the two that I've got.
Thank you, John.
Can we not forget a spectacular thanks to Livewire last week as well for their amazing performance of the Brotherhood on the show as well. So thank you to you guys.
Livewire.
Thank
you
you
were
so much.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you very much for being on our show. We're definitely having you back.
Yes.
What I briefly wanted to talk about this evening is I'm going to transform you to the world of the internet for 2 seconds and take you to our Facebook page, which has been having a lot of activity happening over the last couple of weeks, which is fantastic. A massive shout out to our Facebook leader, which is Sam Bingham, which is here this evening. We're getting a lot more topics and conversations happening, which is
Thank you to everyone who comments as well. We really appreciate it. It's great.
I have got a special surprise tonight. I've been begging the nation, begging our Facebook followers to please encourage people to join our Facebook. There's been many advertising on the page over the last couple of weeks to try and encourage people to come on, but I do have a very special thank you to give out to one of the people that we've talked about tonight. Sam has shared 300 people on our Facebook page. She's invited 300 people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, golly. Wow.
Yeah. As a special thank you from Loose Links, please get in touch with us, because a £10 Amazon voucher is coming your way.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
So please let us know your details, messages on the inbox, and I will get it out to you. So thank you very, very much. There will be more chances on winning vouchers and stuff like that. We are starting to think about competitions now. So we'll be very, very in touch with you and to tell you how that all goes. So this evening, I'm not in the driver's seat, because there's somebody already sat there. Good evening, Sandra Overton, as we talk about Boston.
Oh.
Good evening, Boston.
Good evening. Good evening.
As I said, it's not,
me, haven't you?
unfortunately, Sandra, it's not good news from Boston.
Oh dear.
A councillor driving during a meeting is still in investigation, as he was live on video call as being in this meeting as well as driving. He's the portfolio holder for tourism, arts and craft from Boston Borough Council. So, panel, do you think this takes the mick out of the police if someone is in authority and is breaking the law?
It's absolutely appalling. That's my view.
I absolutely agree.
It's absolutely appalling. And a member of the council who is in a prominent position should be showing, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word at the moment, but he should be, well, he should be struck off.
Leading, basically. Leading by example.
Yes, that's it, by example. He should set an example. That's what I was looking for. Yes, he should. Yes, definitely. It's absolutely appalling. Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was going to speak then.
I'd agree more.
Because using a mobile phone is an offence anyway. But actually,
10 other people were in this meeting watching him.
Yes, yes. So he got to be watching a screen, hadn't he, if he was on a Zoom meeting? It's it's almost unbelievable. It's dreadful.
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you feel like it's one rule for one and another for another?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I don't drive, but my biggest bugbear is seeing people on their mobile phones when they're driving, because it's not just their own life they're putting at risk, it's other people as well, and it just really, really infuriates me. But to actually be on a Zoom meeting, you obviously can't concentrate on your Zoom meeting and driving and traffic lights and everything else as well. But I do think it's one rule for them and one rule for us. It'll probably be, a slap on the wrist, don't do it again, that type of thing. But I do agree with Sandra, they should lead by example, really. So now other people, perhaps another driver, is going to think, well, if he can do it and get away with it, why can't I? It's terrible, really, that people can behave that way, putting themselves and others at risk. It's just not on, really.
Well, it was reported in the local paper and it is under investigation at the moment. So no doubt what happens, the end result will be printed. Hopefully, but the council, they all keep together.
Yes.
So I'll watch the local rag and I'll report back. Yeah, whatever the outcome is.
The thing that gets me is, what is there to investigate?
He was caught
on camera.
Oh, absolutely.
He was seen by people.
Absolutely.
What is there to investigate? If that was a normal, and that's the wrong word to use, isn't it? But if that was a regular bystander in a car on video call, there'd be no investigation. Exactly. They would be sent straight. They would be arrested straight away. So why has he got the privilege of an investigation when it's already there?
Yes.
It's who he is, isn't it, really? It's because of, you know, his position in the community and things like that, rather than the crime that is actually committed. Because, as you say, driving whilst on a phone is a crime. It's a criminal offence, isn't it? So he should be punished like anybody else would be, irrelevant of who he is. He should have known better, really.
And he's not worthy of his position to do something like that. He's not worthy of his position.
Absolutely.
Come on, John. You've been holding back.
Let's have a male view.
Pardon?
Let's have a male view.
I can't disagree with everything you said. The only thing, like you've said there, is that why is there an investigation? He was caught red-handed, as far as I'm concerned. Yes. What I can't understand, I know it's not been reported in the local press since then, is that why hasn't he been suspended from office? He is or supposedly a clever man to have the job he's got with being a councillor and have a director of portfolio and everything else. So he's clever enough to do that job. So why is he not clever enough to realise what he's done is against the law? And I would have expected him, obviously, as I say, I'll let you in on the secret a bit that Nick's on about. I'm chairman of Morton Parish Council near Gainsborough. So that's why it's a little bit of an interest to myself. But if that was one of my parish councillors doing that, we have Zoom meetings, but ours are all house-based at the moment. We have been doing them for the last 6 months and possibly for the next 6 months. So ours are all home-based, as I say. But if one of ours did it, then I would say, well, look, you've got to go because you're not above the law, even though we're only parish councils rather than county councils. But I'm surprised that the county council haven't said anything and suspended him from duty. Yeah. No investigation. It's just plainly obvious that he's not above the law.
But why would it being in that position you are then, John?
Yes.
I'm not saying at all that you wouldn't, but does it mesmerise you that 7 or 8 or even 9 other people were in this meeting exactly seeing what he was doing?
Yes.
You could quite clearly see he was driving the car. But somebody hasn't said anything, but somebody's managed to take a sneaky picture and send it to the press. And I just think...
Yeah, there's been nothing, or I can't find anything to say that whoever was hosting that Zoom meeting did anything about it straight away, as if to say, oh, hang on a minute, we've got something here that shouldn't be happening, you better get off. They just carried on and on and on until somebody actually took a photograph of it. Yeah. And then he had the cheek, and the cheek or the audacity to say, well, I pulled over in the end into a lay-by and I wasn't driving. I'm thinking, no, that's immaterial. You were caught driving your vehicle on a Zoom meeting. And as I say, I'm amazed that there's nothing come out from county council that he's still holding a position of responsibility when I think he's not responsible to hold that position.
No.
Because it's a basic thing. I appreciate the fact that Sam doesn't drive, I think she said, but it's a basic thing when you get into that car or a vehicle. One, you put your seatbelt on, and one, you put your phone away or you don't have it there. And he's done what he's not supposed to be doing. So, as I say, I can't believe that the police and everybody else is waiting for an investigation. A knock on the door is quite suffice and say, right, you've done wrong. Here's your fixed notice. Yeah. Here's your penalty notice. Because what evidence of you is our evidence is there.
I would absolutely completely understand if you can't answer this next question, because this is quite into your job. So if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. That's completely simple. But we are seeing a rise in 18, 19, 20-year-olds, first voters, not wanting to vote, not wanting to put their vote in or anything. Do you think that we're just sick of hearing, well, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do the other, and then we just fall into the same pattern? Do you blame our youngsters for not voting?
the youngsters aren't really interested in their country. If they were, I don't want to go down any other roads, but if they were interested in their country, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing at this moment in time, partying at great lengths like they are doing. They've no interest only in themselves, and they don't realise that voting, that they do run the country, whether you believe or you want Conservative, you want Labour, you want the Liberals or whoever else there is, irrespective of who you want, to waste a vote is giving one to the other side. And being a WI member, women lost their lives for the vote.
Absolutely.
I do agree with you, Sandra. There's only a little bit I disagree with, but I don't think we can categorise all youngsters into that boat.
No.
I know there's quite a high percentage, but there's also quite a high percentage of middle-aged and older people.
Oh, absolutely. But you quoted the age group. So yeah. I am getting back at the age group. I totally agree with you. I've got friends who didn't vote for Brexit because they said, what's the point? So, you know, I totally agree with you. But I said younger people because that was what you brought in. 16, 17, 18 and 19-year-olds. So I'm quoting for that. Yeah.
So tell us anyway, you're the fifth panel member. Tell us what you think about this story. Are you shocked that a person in authority is live on a video call in a meeting while driving behind a wheel? I don't think anything else can shock me more this week, honestly. We move on to our subject and our final discussion in it. Some of you will be relieved that we're not talking about love next week, and we're going to mix it up. So we've done a month on love, but we are going to mix it up for October. Nearly forgot the month then. But first of all, we need to do a massive thank you and shout out for the brave story Sam shared on Thursday night with us over domestic abuse. And the reason we are talking about abuse this evening is because it's been very, very highly in soaps at the moment, especially Coronation Street and EastEnders, on the two separate stories on different kinds of abuse. So my questions to you, panel, are, do you think it's important for soap dramas to share this on TV and bring it to life in your living room?
No.
Right.
Definitely not. I want to be entertained by TV.
Right.
And at the moment, I don't feel I am. I have a lot of things that I don't disagree with, and I know things happen. I don't need to mention a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on in the news at the moment, down to the BBC and ITV. I don't watch either of those soaps for that reason, because I want to be entertained, and I don't think it should be thrown at us.
Okay. I slightly disagree. Only because the fact is that I think the only way we can make people aware of what happens in that sort, and make people more aware and people more educated is doing it in a soap drama way, because the soap drama can bring it to life. How are we as people going to learn the signs and the symptoms? And like, to be honest, Sandra, if we take me and you, for example, you didn't have a clue about, because I was personal friends with Sandra and I still am, when I went through that relationship, but you didn't have a clue. So maybe and I'm not saying soap dramas the whole education system and that's how we learn, but if you had seen something, you might have seen more signs.
But I didn't know anything because you chose to keep that private.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And people do have private lives. I mean, I've got somebody very close to me has gone through a similar event over the last 4 years and has kept it totally to herself. So James, cut that bit out when you edit. I don't want that in, actually. But it's people want to be private, and you wanted to be private. You weren't going to come to me and say, oh, you know, we've got this abuse and blah, blah, blah. There's two sides to it. And a lot of people want to keep what they have private to themselves. What
do you think, John?
Not being a watcher of either or soap operas in general, I don't watch them. As I say, they don't really interest me. But what I do hear and read about it, what's been done, I say my partner watches Coronation Street. That's the only one she watches. My view is that yes, it should be brought in, but it has to be as near to reality as they can get it. And if it is, it's very similar to the likes of Casualty and these police dramas like Line of Duty and anything like that, not just soap operas. As long as they're as close to reality as you can get it, then yes, I think it should be brought into the general public. But if it's just done as to entertain and to mimic, or to not mimic, to sort of make fun of it, then no, I don't agree with that. It is. I've not gone through some of these things, but if it's serious for some people, then if I'd gone through it, then I wouldn't want a soap opera dramatising it just for viewing figures. I want them to do it properly and say, this is what happens in reality. This is how it is in real life. Don't sort of dramatise it just for viewing figures and to get people to watch it. As long as it's done as it is in real life, then yes, I'm all for it. But as I say, I don't watch the programmes as such, but I like to see, if I see it on the credits, that there was a professional person there that deals with the LBGT movement, the Black Lives Matter, the mental health, the domestic abuse, and all these other people, then yes, I'm all for it. But as I say, it has to be as near to real life as you could possibly get it. Because you'll get people then will say, well, that's not how it is. You're making fun of it. Because that isn't how it is in real life. You know, sort of some people will say, I've been through that, and that's not how it is. You're making fun of it just for viewing figures. I want people to say, yes, that you've got it just about spot on. You're not making fun of other people's downfalls or other people's situation of how they live there, what has happened to them. But as I say, I'm all for it, because I think once it's in the public eye, then people maybe look at it and say, oh yeah, that person has gone through that, or they must have had that. That's what they were going through. And I can now understand of what you're going through, especially without asking personal questions. You're getting your personal questions answered on the television by watching that kind of program.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can understand it now, because they've explained it in a little bit more layman's terms, because that's what the majority of the people are watching it is in layman's terms.
Yeah, definitely. So Sam, out of the two opinions, what's your?
I think it's really important that soaps do present these storylines, because as we know, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men do experience domestic abuse at some point during their lifetime, but many don't know that they're a victim, and it's really hard to admit to yourself that you're in an abusive relationship, and it's really hard to tell other people. And as much as you want that help, it's really, really difficult to actually go to a family member or a friend and actually say, you know, I'm being abused at home. It's really difficult because of the consequences that often follow as well. So I think the storylines with EastEnders and Coronation Street are really, really important for many reasons. And I think the most important one is for people who are in an abusive relationship, but they're not sure. So they might see certain signs in the soap line and they might recognise that in their own relationship. And I think it's also important what John's just said as well, about as long as it's done correctly and in the right way, then that is really important as well. I don't watch the storylines because I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, and sometimes it's a trigger for me. But I did watch a little bit of the coronation storyline purely for the fact that, is it done right? Is it, and it was really, really, really powerful.
Well, the thing that absolutely got me is, and I think hats off to them, is that usually when a soap drama covers something quite in depth about that, it's done in a very small sort of way, and it's covered. And I've done some research. So both storylines have developed in over a year. So they started last year and they're coming to an end this year. But what I think was absolutely essential, and being there myself, what I thought was essential is that these two people that were like the villains, the two people were highly respected men, were people that the community looked up to, that people spoke to down the street, and my word, that took me right back to where I was. And then it slowly, even a perfect partner for this person, and then it slowly developed and slowly changed. And I do know that, like, EastEnders and Coronation, I've not been able to watch it all, but EastEnders and Coronation Street have done big research into women's aid and talking to survivors and stuff like that to try and get more of an understanding on how to come across, because they don't want to just play it as, right, we'll play it like this and this is how it's going to be done. So I think it's been played and thought about.
Yeah, really, absolutely. Well. And I think another thing is, hopefully, I think they do, but hopefully they put like a helpline or a website at the end of the show, which is really important as well, because when I was in my situation, I didn't know anything about anything really. I learned the hard way. So just that number that somebody can remember, or the seeds planted, that there's help out there as well. And also that you're not the only one going through this. For me, I just thought, this is it. This is what happens in all relationships. But I also thought I was the only one that was going through it as well. So encouragement with a helpline at the end of the storylines, I think, is really important as well.
Yeah. Do you think love and fear can sometimes come hand in hand?
That's really interesting. I do a lot of blogging, and I've done a little bit of a blog about that, because when I first met my partner, who was very charming and caring right at the beginning, I had the old butterflies in the stomach whenever I saw him, because I loved him. But I also had that same feeling towards the end of the relationship when I couldn't stand him anywhere near me. So I think it is sometimes difficult to differentiate the two. Sometimes we can think we're in love, but maybe we're fearful of them. I know it was really hard for me to sort of know the difference, if that makes sense. So towards the end, I just hated him and I didn't want him near me, but I still had the same feeling that I had when I first met him. So I think it can be really difficult to know our own feelings sometimes, because the way we're treated and manipulated and controlled.
Well, taking it a little bit off abuse is talking about it in a different way of love and fear hand in hand can come in many types of different relationships. Now, Sandra, stop me at any point and go, don't talk about it anymore, don't say anymore. But did you, because obviously I don't want to say your relationship online, but with your relationship coming to an end, did you have that feeling of, well, I love him, but I'm also very scared of losing him? Did you ever feel that?
Yes, I did. And I still love him. I still love my ex-husband. Not as a husband, but in a way, because we've got family. My situation was very sad. And yes, I do still love him. And getting back to what Sam's just said about fear and love, a lot of women who are in abusive relationships do say that, but I love him. I want to stay because I love him. And they still love that person. And yes, it is almost always highly respected people. They're usually highly respected men. I know some men are abused by women, so I mustn't sort of differentiate and just say only respectable men. But I know somebody who said she was in an abusive relationship. She didn't leave him because she loved him.
Mm. Oh, you
But
say
they
that
look
all the
blind,
time.
don't they?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sam's probably going to agree on that one, because she's already said it was fear, and you know, she did love him in the beginning, but it's a difficult one. Getting back to the soaps, I just think we would be better having documentary programs and interviewing people like they do, rather than putting it on as entertainment. And some of the letters in some of the magazines have been, they've been appalled at what they've been watching, even to stop watching. And they've said the storylines were getting far too deep and going on far too long. I don't watch it, so I can't comment on that. But I don't particularly want to watch somebody being abused, because I find it sad. I mean, we're in a sad world at the moment. Well, it's not the world, it's the people in it. But lots more discussions can come from that, can't they?
Yeah, a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
Just know, well, just to finish on that, really, just know that if you are out there and you are watching and you do feel you're just not alone, and there is a telephone number within our social media pages. If you are in Lincolnshire and need help, please pick up that phone. Do not and sit and wait for that person to disappear and destroy your life. So moving forward, I feel like we need to talk about a lighter topic, because like the two topics we've talked about have been quite deep.
Yes.
So I feel like we need to finish on a lighter topic. So, panel, I'm going to talk about the crisis we're in. The massive crisis we're in, and it's deriding us every single day. I'm not talking COVID.
You're on a
I'm
roll.
talking toilet roll.
You're on a roll, aren't you?
I'm talking toilet roll. Market Raisin, good evening. As we game a little bit of Market Raisin, because Market Raisin Tesco's toilet roll shelves are sold out again. Do you think, panel, that we are being absolutely ridiculous with this crisis with toilet roll for a second time running?
Why can't people use their brain?
Oh, what you were going to say?
And realise that if they only bought weekly what they require, there would be no shortage. But people create their own shortages by panic buying. There's a store here in Boston hasn't got a toilet roll left.
Oh,
but
no,
there are
really? In Boston as well?
There are several shops. You know Johnson's. Toilet rolls coming out their ears on the shelves if you go find it. Aldi have got them. Lidl have got them. I think actually it's our Tesco that's sold out. Crazy.
But do people...
What are they doing?
This is going to come across.
Doing with it all?
Well, the thing is, this is going to come across a bit crude here, so be prepared out there. But do people think that if we go in lockdown, we're just going to be sat on the toilet for 6 months? Because I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I don't.
I mean, I must admit, I use quite a bit, because sometimes if I'm upstairs and I want to blow my nose or something, I grab a bit of toilet roll. I think we're all guilty of that.
What you were going to say then too?
And I tear 3 or 4 sheets off, where I probably can do on. I mean, I used to have a friend, she's dead now, bless her, but she used to count the toilet. She used to count the sheets, and she would only ever use 1 sheet. Well, you know.
Well, 1 sheet does plenty.
Oh, can't even.
You're in your element, Nick, tonight with it.
Oh dear. But I really do not know what people do with it. Somebody said, somebody put on Facebook quite some time ago, the last, the last lot, and they said, what was it, something like about in 2050, this guy had finally used his last toilet roll that he'd bought in 2020. I mean, people must have toilet rolls in their loft coming out their ears. They must have, the way they bought them last time.
Do you think, though, do you think people are right in what they're doing, or do you think people are being damn right greedy?
Greedy.
Yeah, I agree with Sandra, definitely. That there's absolutely no need to panic buy whatsoever. And like Sandra's just said, if they stick to what they normally get, then we wouldn't have empty shelves. I think they're being really selfish, I really do. And I don't think we're actually on a full lockdown yet, not like we were at the beginning. So what is the point?
No, and Italy aren't on lockdown, so they're buying pasta up like there's no tomorrow. They're buying tomato sauces, you know, the Italian sauce that you buy. It's going off the shelves like ninepins. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
You know, Sandra, one of my friends the other day, I won't name her because she's on this show, but one of my friends the other day said, you know, I've just got to say, I bloody love it when Sandra's on. I just, the outcomes that she comes with, I just randomly said something. And she said, from the last show, because can you remember when you said we were talking about relationships?
Yes.
And how you would have a relationship. And she said she was howling at when you said, well, I don't wish anybody any harm, but a terminal illness or just something. She was like,
I said a lot of money, a nice yacht, and a terminal illness. Happy. That's right.
And you're the only one that could say something like that. You're the only person.
Well, you know me. People say to me, you know, when Brian left and all of that, and they said, well, there's one thing, you say it how it is. I don't wrap anything in cotton wool, you know.
Do you think that this is what our community in the UK is turning into, me, myself and I?
Sometimes, yeah. What I can't grasp, but what I've done, obviously since the last lockdown, I do most of our shopping, so my partner, there's just one of us going shopping. But once lockdown was finished and all the shelves were stocked up, and the more you went shopping, with the mask on and everything else, the shelves were well stocked up with the pasta, the toilet rolls and flour and everything else, and it was there to cobble dogs with. You could get as much as you wanted. So what I did was, we got, say, half a packet of toilet rolls, 6 left. Well, I got another one. Then I'd buy another box of flour and another packet of pasta. So you don't panic buy now. You bought every other week.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you've got 2 tins of say, a bag of flour, and you're halfway through it, you think, oh, I'll get another one. So I've got 1 spare. And then if you make something, then you keep stocking up as you go along. So I haven't panicked buy, but I've got enough toilet rolls to last a fortnight now, so I don't need to buy any.
Well, I think that's
2 bags of pasta that I've bought spare. Yeah. So we're stocked up, but we've stocked up when the shelves have been full, because when you go round and nobody's been buying flour, very few people have been buying toilet rolls, and very few people have been buying pasta. When it's there, now they're turning around and saying, because this second wave has been spoken about now since May, June, even before then. They said then there is chance that there will be a second spike before the end of the year, and we might have to go into another lockdown. So what my question is, or my point is, why weren't people sort of not panic buying, but stocking up a little bit? Now, if you've got a lot of room, then I appreciate that you can't fill the larder up, fill the pantry up, fill your cupboards up, but stock up as you're going along. Buy an extra tin of beans, buy an extra bag of pasta, buy an extra toilet roll, buy some more washing up powder and stuff like that. So as you go along and you get to today or this now, you think, I don't need anything else because I've bought it as I've gone along. Sort of thing. But I got the impression that there was a lot of people do shop and buy week to week.
Yes.
Buy enough for the week, then when it comes to the next week, they buy virtually the same thing. So now that they're thinking, oh, well, I want some toilet roll, they're not left because everybody else has bought it. Whereas if you sort of say, right, the first week I'm going to buy 2 toilet rolls, then I've only used one roll. At least you've got another roll built up. So that's all we've done is, as I say, we've just bought extras as we've gone along, knowing full well you in sort of May, June, you were 99 or 95% certain that the second wave would come this year. And there would be another lockdown because if the second wave came, the figures that they were all spouting around, if the second wave came, the figures would be roughly the same thing and the same thing would happen. And it's nearly happening now, isn't it? Now that they're not putting the country into a lockdown, they're turning around to areas and say, you, and you. So if it comes around, obviously it hasn't at Lincoln, so we're quite fortunate in this area. We've not got anything locked down as in the northeast and the northwest. But that's what I can't understand is why people haven't sort of built up their own little shop or their own little pantry over the last 6 months.
It's not the generation. Our generation, with all due respect, our generation were brought up to stock. When I was married and I came back from my honeymoon, my mother in my kitchen was a huge box and in it was 2 of everything. And she said to me, you keep 2 of everything and you will never run out. That's how I was brought up.
That's all I've done over the last few weeks.
But and you sound the same sort of person. I blame the supermarkets to a degree. I think they should be more restrictive. They shouldn't allow somebody to go out with half a dozen packets of toilet rolls and 6 bags of flour, etc., etc. They should be more restricting. And I think
stop blowing your nose, Sandra. Stop doing it.
I think they should, but you get to this.
I'll tell you something, because you're not all aware, but I'll make you aware that none of my
You've only got one left.
None of my panel members are paid. But I'll send you a square. I'll send you a square for doing today's show. But Sandra, it might not cover your nose.
James, how many toilet rolls have you got?
Just 2 of everything. I follow your rule. 2 of everything. 2 of everything. That brings us to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in on our Tuesday evenings. We have had different opinions tonight, which is fantastic, because I feel like the show is more developing week by week because people are getting braver on camera. But join us next week as we have a brand new panellist join us. Sue Humphrey joins us for the first time on Loose Links. The Queen of Liverpool Street herself, Kerry Gillespie, is back. And also his first episode on Loose Links. Never been on it, but been on Loose Lincoln. And we are proud to welcome back Mike Curtis. He comes and joins his first show for Loose Links. So join us next week for all that and a lot more. But thank you for this evening. Thank you to my panel, to Sam Bingingham, to Sandra Overton.
Bye.
And to John Parry.
Bye. Thank you.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.